Good morning, everyone. Let the ladies join in. We have matching backgrounds today. Welcome to Open Office Hours. Happy Friday to you all. Hope you had a wonderful week. I'm Crystal Hinkle. I'm part of the team here. I'll let the ladies introduce themselves as well.
Hey everybody, I'm Tatiana. Welcome to Open Office Hours.
Hey everyone, I'm Brandy, also part of the team over here at Syncro, and welcome. Happy Friday.
Indeed. Welcome, welcome. So I think I see some returning guests, which is lovely. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And for those of you that have, I'll stop sharing, that have not been to open office hours before, this is really just a place that you can come, you can ask whatever questions you have. Anything that's came through over the week, depending, I guess you can be in a trial, you could be a payer for a year and still have questions. That's okay. We are hopefully we'll be here to answer those today. So really, I see there's already a question in the Q&A, which is great, but that reminds me that's what we use to be able to kind of manage those questions as they come in. So instead of the chat box, if you want to use the Q&A, just feel free to put whatever question you have. Like I said, it could be super quick, easy how-to to very intricate workflow type of questions. We're happy to answer all of those. So enjoy, welcome. And anyone want to grab the first one, or shall I?
Roger just says, wow, look at the backgrounds.
Hey, we treated this like a feature request last week. Somebody didn't like my super plain regular wall, so we did this for you guys. Welcome.
Yes, did. Awesome. Okie doke. So let's see. I'm just going to read this one out loud. Andy wants to know Windows patches works well, but I don't seem to be able to see when feature updates are available. For example, when a PC is at Windows 10 version 1903, I don't see the 1909 upgrade under missing patches in the asset. So I believe that to be true. And in fact, when like a version update is available right now, it's you're pushing that update via a script. Am I correct on that, ladies? Yeah. So I don't know. I know that we have a lot of requests and some upgrades coming to Windows Patch Management feature in general. I know that that's something that's highly requested. I also know that that's something that's very interesting as far as the way that Microsoft works those version updates to actually be able to do it through like a normal patch management. So we're working on it, and we'll pass it along for sure. All right, go ahead.
I see a question about, is there any way to view previously broadcasted messages? So yes, there is. Let me just go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to go into the report section. And then I'm going to go to the asset activity audit. So if I wanted to say, okay, here's Larry, I know I've sent some broadcast messages to him. You're able to run this report. I can go to broadcast messages, run it. And I apologize, sometimes it takes a minute to load. One to 2 minutes to be exact.
Oh.
But this is where Larry is our test account. Oh, I don't have any for Larry.
Dang it.
Month to date. Let's just see if we can view all. This is where it shows, and I've done it before, and it'll have like a little box that you can click into and view the message that was sent previously. Okay, so here we go. Here's a previous broadcast message. I'm able to view the details, and it just says hi. But if there's anything else in here, you'll be able to view them here. Yep, hopefully that helps.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandy. Next question here is from Robert. He says, trying to figure out a workflow for generating scheduled invoices in Syncro, but sending via QuickBooks Online. We've got the scheduled invoices set up, but didn't know the best method of kicking them over to QuickBooks. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. So currently within Syncro, we do integrate with both QuickBooks Desktop and Online. And honestly, when you're generating your recurring invoices on the Syncro side, you do that when you're setting them up here in this section here. Whatever schedule that you specify, those invoices will generate. So when you're building your recurring invoices here, you're really actually just setting up the template of which line items you want to actually include in this section in here. And really, so to answer your question, once this invoice gets generated on whatever is scheduled that you specify in here, it will be sitting in your list of regular invoices in this section here. And then they should be automatically syncing over to QuickBooks Online just by default. So if you, again, I'll reference the knowledge base article here on just straight, if you search for QuickBooks Online, it should sync over as soon as the invoice is generated on the Syncro side, it should be automatically syncing over to QuickBooks. And so at that point, we don't have any way of, Syncro doesn't have any way of setting up your settings on the QuickBooks side to automatically email from there, but it should be syncing over automatically. Hopefully that helps. Let me make sure there's no other extra questions specific to that one. I think we're good. Hopefully that helps.
Awesome, thank you. I'll grab this top one from Tony about shipping integrations. So he's saying, I've seen stuff about it from Repair Shopper, and I see that the integrations are in the App Center. Can we get some details on this, or some deets on this? So I'll share my screen. It's worth noting, it's going to be the presentation here for a sec, sorry. Let me get rid of that for a second. There. All right, so if I head to the App Center here, and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, I think, you'll see ShipRush and ShipStation. So we do now have shipping integrations, which is pretty huge. I will be super transparent. So the reason you probably haven't seen like a huge marketing rush on the Syncro side, we did release a ton of information on the Repair Shopper side, just really working with straight break fix type of shops for this, but it works the same in Syncro. So if you want some more information, we actually have this like step by step how you set it up, and it's essentially the same. You would set it up the exact same in Syncro as you do in Repair Shopper. So I think you could utilize that same documentation. So Tony, if you want me to, or one of us to send that to you, I'm happy to. Otherwise, I think it's actually just right. It might be on our release notes on the Repair Shopper side too, or maybe during this webinar we can find it and get it for you. But yep, they act the same as they do on the Repair Shopper side.
Awesome. Okay, next question here says the tick is from Andy. He says the ticket dashboard does not seem consistent. I have changed the colors for statuses and they do not get applied in the dashboard. If I tick hide the checkbox, that seems to work instantly, but not the color settings. So let me share my screen here real quick just to show you guys what it is exactly that he's talking about. So if you go over to your tickets section here and go under View and select Open Ticket Dashboard. This is a dashboard that he's referring to. So I'll be completely honest, I'm not 100% sure how long it should take. I thought it was supposed to be instant when you're updating the colors in here. So this is, again, just to kind of give a general introduction here, this is where you can specify in here in the settings what colors you want to adjust based on the different settings that you set here. If your ticket is coming based on the ticket status or whatever it might be. And then the cool thing here too is you can share the links of this ticket dashboard as well. So if you want to pop this up on a large screen to share with the rest of your team, you can do that. So I would say that reach out to our tech support team if this is not functioning in the way that you're expecting it to, which again, the color should directly match what you're setting in here. Definitely reach out to help@syncromsp.com.
I see the next question says third-party updates with Chocolatey. Do we have to install Chocolatey first before this works, or is it a part of the Syncro agent? What's the relationship and how does it work all together in a nutshell? So really great question. I think our third-party patching is really stellar in Syncro, and how you're going to get there is you could just go to more into your policies, unless you have it on that main level. Just open up one of your policies. Also, you can create many policies under the policy modules if you want to do it that way. and just plug it into any of your master policies. I'll just open one up here. You do not have to install Chocolatey first. We already use it in the background for third-party patching. So we do have the short list of third-party apps in here. I think there's like 22 or something like that. And then when you see additional apps, there's a couple different things you can do. If you just go to add application, you can either search for it. I always get people asking me for Dell Command and Office 365 Pro Plus, but there's tons to choose from. You can also just select Chocolatey, and you can come in and you can view different packages in here. There's tons to choose from. So this number goes up and down each day, but you do not have to install Chocolatey first. We already take care of all of that for you, and it's just packaged with our agent.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'm going to grab these next two from Richard. I think I'm going to address them at the same time, so I'll read them. If you have a customer that is all you can eat and labor is set to 0, how do you set up project tickets so they are billed at an hourly rate or a fixed fee? And then in addition to that, is there a way to customize how labor is displayed on an invoice template for all you can eat customers? What he's looking for, display the line item we are billing for, line breaker 2, then the time entries without the words, with or without the words, discounted per contract for every time entry. Okay, so there's a lot there. Let me go ahead. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, so a few things. Now, if you have in a ticket, I'm just going to grab any ticket, and you usually have like a default labor. So if you have a contract set up where your default labor is just going to 0, so let me just go. We have time. I mean, it's only 9:12. I'm gonna go into a little bit of detail on this because I think it's worth it. So I'm gonna bring out a contract as well. So if we open up any contract, this is actually called all you can eat contract. So what you can see is like you've got these labor line items that are just automatically going to override to 0 no matter what. What you can do though is you can also, if you have a product or service that's called maybe project labor, and they have a specific rate, you can just start typing up whatever type of labor that is. I don't know if we actually have a project labor, but maybe this, like, pretend it's on-site labor. Then for that one, you can override it to whatever your fixed hourly rate is for that customer, and then you can override it via the contract pricing, so that when you're in a ticket, default stuff like all of the remote work that you're tracking time for, it's going to go to whatever default it is. But say for this all you can eat customer, you are doing project labor, you can then just go down and select which type of labor you're doing, and then it will charge them according to whatever you have on your contract or whatever your products and services are saying that labor rate is. So that's like the how to and to differentiate what's being charged and what's not. Now, there's a few things to note here, because this is kind of a big one when you're talking about having default line items based upon the different types of customers. So there's a few things that I think I'll go over right now. One being, if you go to tickets and preferences, you can set up like customization as to what you want each like ticket time tracking line item to actually say. So if you go to additional settings in your ticket preferences and hop down here to customize text for ticket timer charges, and you hit this little I here, that will show you all of the different tags that you can put that would just automatically put that in there, so that your technicians you don't have to worry about like typos and that kind of thing. It'll just, have a very structured line item. And then you have a few things here. See, the trouble, and I'm sure you already see where I'm going with this, the trouble with that is that's global. So that is a setting that any time entry, so it's not going to make a difference whether it's contracted labor or like inclusive labor or something else. So then with that said, what you might need to do is if you go to PDF and email templates, and we've added this just in the last few months, if you go to an invoice template, you can have a default invoice template, but you can have an additional invoice template. So you could have an invoice template that is like very specific to, it could be your all you can eat invoice template. And from here, you can choose like what you want to have displayed in each line item and separate them out. I'm not the best at HTML, but it is a simple editor, and you can make this invoice look exactly how you want it to look, and you have all of these available tags here. And in addition to that, sorry, I'm getting a little bit long-winded on this, but this is a kind of a big thing, obviously, to be billing your customers the way you want to be. So when you create multiple invoice templates, and then you go to what you can do here is if you go to that all-you-can-eat customer, you can then edit right here, and you can choose which invoice template you want. So this is where you can come down here and choose which invoice template would be their default. So hopefully that helps. It's not like, I don't think that I gave you like a concrete, like this is exactly how to get line items to say exactly what you want for each type of labor, but I think with all of that information, hopefully you'll be able to figure out how to make those invoices look exactly how you'd like them to.
Super helpful. Thank you, Crystal.
Yeah.
Now,
go ahead.
Sorry, I see the question about is there a way to move multiple assets from one policy to another? So yes, there is, and let me just pull this up real quickly. So if you go to the Assets and RMM tab, this is how you're going to do it. I do like to just mention real quickly the saved asset searches, because not only can you change policies for a group of devices, you can send out broadcast messages, you can send out mass mailers, you can bill off of these different groups. So you can have a group. You don't have to do it this way, but you could have a group for any of these different items here. And maybe I've got my different devices grouped. So let's just select in mass. You can pick and choose or just highlight all of them, go up to manage, and then you can just change a policy here. So if you wanted to see, you could have a group for all of your devices with the base policy, and then you would be able to find all of those and quickly change those over to a different policy. So that's the easiest way to do it, rather than do it individually per asset.
Awesome, thank you. Alrighty, next question here is from Evan. He says, please really need to allow QuickBooks Desktop to assign invoice numbers. Clobbering invoice numbers is preventing me from doing any invoicing in Syncro. So definitely good feature request. I'll share my screen here real quick. So on the Syncro side, you do have the capability in here to assign which invoice number you want to start off with. So if you go over under more and then to the admin section, if you scroll down towards invoice preferences, this is where you can set the last invoice number. So if you do have those accruing in a numerical way without any like prefixes or anything like that, hopefully that will help you set it up that way, but I'll definitely pass along your feature request otherwise. It's a good question. And then next one in here also is from Paul. He says, is there a process to approve text time before it is added to a recurring invoice? So I'll share my screen again, just kind of going in order here. So a couple different ways that you can approach this. So first things first, if you head over to our reports section under more and reports, scroll down just a bit, we do have this ticket time by technician report. Now, this isn't exactly going to be you approving or denying the amount of labor applied to the tickets, but at least in here you can check which texts you want to double check with, and then make sure that they are charging the time or not, depending on the type of billing that you have set up for your customers. So again, it's not the exact thing that you're asking for, but definitely a step in the right direction. The other thing to kind of consider too is if you have your recurring invoices pulling in your pending ticket charges, meaning as your techs are charging time to the tickets, they are automatically getting pulled into your recurring invoices here just by selecting this button. You can just choose to have this running on a monthly basis or however often, and then once it generates, just make sure you don't email the customer the PDF, but once it generates pulling in all the pending ticket charges on this one recurring invoice, it will go to your regular invoices section, and it'll just be listed here. And this is one way you can manually review. So you'll see these little icons here, the little double arrow icons. That means that these invoices here were generated automatically by a recurring invoice. And so at that point, this is a way to kind of another way to manually review. You could go into here and just, scroll down to the bottom and say, yep, that's exactly what I meant to charge for. You can preview the invoice and then email manually from there. So hopefully that's a good step in the right direction for you.
Awesome. Awesome. Question from Paco. Morning, ladies. I was hoping you can help me with this question. Can you help guide me on the proper way to forward an email I've received to a Syncro mailbox that I've set up and attached to the customer? It seems to keep attaching to the account I created with under my domain and matches to that all the time. I know there is some information either in the subject or the body, but I can never get it to work. So you can forward it, but you'll want to make sure that you're forwarding it from an account, from your email address that is a user account in Syncro. And then the resulting lead or ticket will have the customer information attached properly. You can also send an email to your mailbox and attach it to an existing ticket. And what you would do in the subject line is you would add ticket, colon, and then the ticket number in the subject, and that should attach. If you do, I don't know if you ladies have anything else to join or to add in there, but if it's not working properly, I would definitely email support. That's just what we have in our KBs.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to grab this next one around event monitoring. So first question, these event monitoring policies always seem to create an RMM alert. This is great when something failed, but when I would like to log a successful backup to the asset recent activity log without creating an RMM alert, how do I do that? Number two, on the event policy setup page, what does the field severity refer to? Okay, I'm going to take a stab at this one. Okay. I'm going to preface that with that small laugh because I'm not a technician, but I think I have an answer for you. So I'll take it from the beginning. If we head to a policy here, and these are the event log alerts we're talking about. We do have some presets. You can edit event logs, and so you can be monitoring for very specific alerts. But like mentioned, if we detect that event log ID, we're going to create an RMM alert for it. Now, what you can do, if you don't want it to just always be like blowing up your RMM alerts and that kind of thing, and you want it to log it into the activity feed, there's a few things you can do. There's a couple steps here, but it actually is super helpful if you, depending on how you want it logged. So if you go to automated remediation here, you can actually set up an automation for that specific event log ID. So you can do trigger category and set it up to be that specific event log preset. So you can it'll have, like, if you create a custom one, it'll be there as well. But let's say we're using that preset. What you can do in your actions, this is pretty cool. So you could immediately have it clearly alert, and then you could have it also run a script. And this script in our PowerShell module, we have added a line item in our PowerShell module to log things in the activity feed. So like exactly what you're saying here. So just to give you a visual of what I mean by that, if you go to a script, any script, create a new script here, you'll see below the scripting window, you have your PowerShell module. So you can put this into the first line of your of the script, and then here, a log activity under that asset. So now it's going to be in that activity feed, and as you know now, you can run a report based upon that activity feed as well. So that's the way that I know how to do that. In addition to that, I thought I would just let you know too, because this, I mean, we added this a while ago, but just want to make sure everybody has seen this amazing add to Syncro Live where we have this event viewer, so you can search very specific event IDs. And that this is kind of going to filter into the second part of your question because I don't actually have a very great answer for you. But anyways, so if you just wanted to every once in a while search for a certain ID, or you didn't necessarily want everything creating an alert, but you want to check for it every once in a while, this is a great way to do that. And then as far as the severity level, I'm fairly certain it's referring to these levels. That's the part that I'm not 100% certain on. So if anyone has another answer to what does the field severity refer to, this is what I thought it did, but I don't know for certain. Okay, I'm done.
Awesome. Okay, next question here is from Robert. He says, is there any way to sync contacts with Office 365 users or integrate Office 365 beyond the current calendar integration? We currently bill based off of active users and contacts using the custom fields, but it's very manual process adding and removing contacts. So, interesting question here. I'll go ahead and share my screen. A couple different things you can do here. So on the Syncro side, if you go into any customer in here, obviously you can create contacts under the customer level. And so in this section here, you can, you do have the capability to bulk import in this section. If you click this import button here, it'll take you to a template you can fill out, and then you can update those contacts in bulk that way. Again, that won't be automatic through the Office 365 integration, but I guess I wanted to also clarify, you mentioned here that you're using the, you're billing based off of active users or contacts in the custom fields. So I want to make sure this is exactly what you're referring to. If you go over to the invoice modules and then recurring invoices, just want to make sure that you're not using, that you're using the actual built-in customer contact counter in here. I'm pretty sure you are, but just wanted to double check in here. So again, what this field, this type of line item will do is it'll allow you to actively, it'll keep your invoice up to date with how many contacts you have listed under this customer. So I have an example of that here. Per contact billing, and it'll always have that up to date. So if your customer goes out and hires 10 new employees, this will jump up to 15 for you automatically once you add those contacts. So again, not currently automated, but I'll definitely pass along your request for sure.
Awesome. I have a couple questions in here. So Roger, first, is it possible to set up multiple RMM packages on a scheduled invoice, but when the invoice is ran and generated, it will not display the product or item with a quantity of 0? So real quickly, I'll show you guys what he's referring to in here. And I know we were just talking about the recurring invoices, but you can have your different RMM packages. This is billing dynamically. So still billing someone per endpoint, but it's based on the package. So if you have a good, better, and best type of monitoring package, I can say, okay, let's count how many devices have the silver package and charge them $75 a month, and I can add that here, and I can do that for as many different RMM packages as possible. He's referring to when you have a quantity of 0. So in my gold package, there aren't any devices with this gold package, and it is going to show as a line item if you do add that. I don't think there's any way around that unless you guys know of a trick there, but I'm pretty sure it's always going to show the quantity if you add it. And then Colin, you also had a question about your ticket. I just pinged our support team, so we should have an update for you soon.
Awesome. I'll take this one really quick from Roger. What is the recommended way to removing an agent from a customer computer that includes antivirus? So what we recommend is, let me head back here. Really, if you just go to the assets and RMM screen, so there's a couple things. If you want to remove the agent completely, you can actually just select it here and delete it. That will prompt a full uninstall the antivirus, and it'll just do that automatically. I think that what I have heard, and I can't remember if it was Bitdefender or antivirus or WebRoot, where like every once in a while, if you have like some sort of setting, you might have to just make sure it's uninstalled in your console as well. But that's kind of the quick and easy way to do it. If you don't want to uninstall the agent altogether, you can just simply switch the policy to one that doesn't have antivirus, and it will prompt the same uninstall of the antivirus also.
Roger says, not sure how this happened, but I saw one of my invoices was in Larry's demo account. Can you forward that $180,000 directly to me? Larry, I know, he's pretty famous. He owes us a lot of money.
This is a ton of money. While I've got my screen, do you mind if I grab just this next one from Robert?
Yeah.
Okay. Also curious about ticket automation, custom fields, worksheets, trying to implement it for common tasks like new employee, new device, etc., but getting lost in all the settings, having a hard time wrapping my head around the workflow. Okay, really good Really good question. Especially during these times, a lot of folks are changing their workflows or adding different things to their workflows. So again, sorry if this is long-winded. I'm going to just start in your admin section and just it's easier to kind of build the blocks from the ground up. So if we go to tickets, you'll see ticket custom fields. So let's talk about ticket custom fields. Let's also then show worksheets. So let's start with ticket custom fields. They can be whatever you want them to be. So if it is like a new computer setup, for example, let's just go, I'm going to manage the fields. So you can call it whatever you want. Then when you manage the fields, you'll see that you can add a new field. It can be anything from like a drop down. So if I just add a new field here, you can call it whatever you want. And the drop down box, again, can be a checkbox, a multiple choice drop down, a link, all of the, obviously you can read. So I don't have to say all of those things, but you have all of those options to add to a custom field type. And so with that, I'll also create a ticket with this one. I'll use this one so you can see what this looks like within a ticket, but it gives you a preview also of what it would look like when you're creating a ticket using this custom field. Now here's the real cool part, especially if you want to kind of start to automate this thing. So you can also, from this screen, you can do it from another one too, but from this screen you can say, for this custom field type of a new computer setup, I also want this new employee setup worksheet to automatically attach when I select that custom field to that ticket. So this is really cool. This is kind of your one-stop shop. In addition to that, here's how you build your worksheets. So it's also very nice the way that this is set up. I like showing the virus removal because it shows all of the different options, but you can see there's drop downs, and so you can add, like you can enter new fields. So you can have more than one or have more than two in your drop down. You can have check boxes. You can have like just a custom text field where you can input information. You can have them required that a technician resolves these worksheets before they resolve the ticket. But here again, if you wanted to automatically attach to a custom field in a ticket, you can do that from this screen also. So you can see that there was kind of two different ways that you can do that. And so speaking of Mr. Larry, let's kind of pull all of this together here. So if I go to Larry, you can create tickets a gazillion ways within Syncro. The one that I like the best is create, if you know what assets it's for. I'm going to create a ticket from here. The asset's already attached. You can see I have 3 required fields. So I'm just going to say this is a demo ticket, and maybe this is remote support, and this is fake. So this is your custom field. So you've already done the work, you've done the legwork, and you're saying, all right, this is a new computer setup. So now it's going to prompt you to answer all of the fields that you just created, and you can have some of these fields, as you can see, you can choose which ones you want required. So of course, I'm not going to be able to move forward unless I create a login or I add that login username. So I'm going to go ahead and create the ticket. So once I've done that, you'll see I've got my custom fields here, and then bam, I've also got my worksheet here attached to this ticket. So you can make that really automated. So once you've created those custom fields, once you've created those worksheets, that's very quick and easy to do, and it's in an automated way. Now, the last thing that you brought up as well was outside of this, it's ticket automations. So I kind of showed you how to automate having worksheets attached and that kind of thing, but then separate to that, there is also ticket automations. So this is like based upon different trigger categories, and say, like, for example, this is where, like, if you had like a ticket type, like a ticket custom field, so say it was that new computer setup, maybe you want your whole system to prompt certain things. Maybe you need to email your accountant, who knows, I don't know, like maybe you need to email someone that a new setup is being done, or then you want it to let the customer know, hey, I'm starting this process, so you can then add additional automations here. So hopefully I kind of came full circle there for you, and that helps.
Super helpful. Thank you, Crystal. Next question here is from Paul, and there's actually a couple in here, regarding the Mac Beta and Bitdefender, so I'll just kind of take them all in one fell swoop here. So with Paul, he says, does Bitdefender work and report properly with the Mac Beta agent? So good question. A lot of people do. If you're not aware, we do have a Mac agent in beta. As far as I know, Bitdefender is available on the Mac agent. So if you go to our knowledge base article and you just search for Mac, it'll pop up this knowledge base article for you here. And yes, Bitdefender does work. Reporting, I'm not 100% sure on the details of that. I've never seen the integration personally or tested it, but I do believe, I know for sure the Bitdefender does work. And so there was a couple other questions. Let me pull up my Q&A here. So to answer your question, yes, Bitdefender does work on the Mac Beta. If you guys are not part of the Mac Beta, but you do want to be included, definitely reach out to either us, your point of contact, or to help@syncromsp.com. Either one of us is happy to help add you to the Mac Beta. The other question that was in here says, also from Paul, Mac agent process stops responding on operating system 10.15. I realize this is in beta, but is there an ETA as to when this may be fixed? We don't have an ETA on the Mac beta agent when it will be released, just because currently, as you know, the antivirus that's available is Bitdefender, where we would like to add MCSoft and WebRoot to that as well, and then also make a Syncro Live available on the Mac agent. So those are kind of the main things that are holding it back from being released from the beta. And then any type of feedback that you guys have as you continue testing it, definitely pass that along to our tech support team so that they can take a closer look for you, or pass it along to the developers at that point if it's not currently available. And then I think the last question in here is specific to, let me scroll down to the bottom, to Bitdefender here. Eric says, is there a way to force Bitdefender install to try to run again? I added to the policy and several failed due to pending reboots. It was a few days before the customer rebooted affected PCs. Even after reboots it did not attempt to install. I had to change the PC policy and then change it back to force the install to retry. Is there a better way? So I asked the support team on this one, and it looks like currently restarting the Syncro service would take care of that for you. So hopefully all of those help you guys.
Awesome. Roger, I definitely can see how that would be helpful. He's just talking about the recurring invoices again and being able to add multiple packages, RMN packages. If you could just create, you know, a recurring invoice that had all of those listed, and then it's only all of your RMN packages or policies listed, and then it would only pull in the ones that were active for that month. I can definitely see that as beneficial, and I'm happy to pass that along.
Absolutely. I'm gonna read this one out loud because I don't know if I have a great answer. Is there any update on creating estimates? Is that tax exclusive? Is that what I'm seeing? This is causing serious issues for us and causing many mistakes. Is there a better way to creating B2B estimates? Please let me know. Maybe I'm working on it correctly. Do you guys, okay. Spot check me here. When you're creating an estimate, is it tax exclusive by default? Do you guys know?
I don't know. I usually deal with the taxes on the individual products themselves. And if you don't have the individual product, if you have the individual product selected as taxable, when you create an estimate, it's going to be taxed. It will include taxes. So on your products and services, if you have if you don't have the taxable button selected, then I think it's possible. Otherwise, it's always going to pull in the tax for that product.
Right.
Yeah, and I think you might be typing right now. It's going to let us know what they're currently doing, and so maybe that will help us be able to get a little bit further on that. The next question: is there a report builder on the roadmap? So what I know is on the roadmap is a ton of additional improvements, like what we've done with the asset audit report, where you can filter, customize. In the next 3 months anyways, I have not seen a full almost like a SQL type of server situation. I have not seen that on the roadmap, but I know that we will continue to build out our reports. So yeah, not a great answer, but I know that a lot of great things are coming for reports. Next
question here is from Jeffrey. He says, when when on an asset, sometimes it shows an orange box that says pending reboot. It would be great to click it and to choose to send a reboot script. So I'll share my screen here real quick just to show you guys what he's talking about. I don't know if I have an endpoint that is pending reboot, but we'll go ahead and head over to the assets and RMM section. And then in here, we'll just go ahead and click into one of these. One thing just to mention while we're here, if you guys haven't done this already, you can create a column in here that is a pending reboot column. You can completely customize those in here. So if you want to see which ones are pending reboot, you can specify that there. Just a quick tip there. But yes, once you're on an endpoint here, sometimes it will kind of glow in orange. I believe it'll say pending reboot. And then from here, if you actually go over, I don't think you can click a drop-down menu to force the script from there, but if you click over to the script section here, you can click add to queue, and then you can run any script that you need to, and you can say I need to run this once and I need to run it right now. So hopefully that is going to be helpful to you. And then I'll just grab the next one sitting here. It's from John. He says, can we put credentials in the ticket for that client? This is another feature request. Someone else asked me this just the other day. So currently you can have credentials built in on the customer level as well as within documentation. So I'll show you guys what he's talking about. If we go over to the customer section here, this is the first place that you can place your credentials. So it's just over in the credentials tab here. You can keep those securely stored there. Also, if you head over to our documentation, those are available here as well. I have one built in here. I just called it credentials for Larry, and then you can keep those stored. The benefit of storing it, I believe you can do it with the documentation primarily is if you wanted to, you could make this available to the customer via their customer portal. And so if they need to see their own credentials, they can see it that way. And now multi-factor authentication is available. You can enable that on the customer portal as well, which is huge. So definitely, hopefully that helps.
Sweet. Thank you. Let's see here. In an asset, there's a list of installed applications. It would be nice to be able to produce a report of this in PDF or CSV directly from there instead of having to go to the report section and running the software inventory report. That is the way you have to do it now. I don't know if we plan on adding an export to CSV straight to that page or export to PDF. I'd be happy to pass that along because I know we already have, I know we're working on that report just because people are asking for a lot more detail, and there's a lot that we can add already to that report. So making it maybe more accessible sounds super reasonable. So we'll add that to our feature request sheet as well. And then while I'm unmuted, I'll just grab this because I'm not quite sure, Peter. So he's mentioning worksheets seem to work differently from when I signed up roughly a year ago, which that doesn't surprise me because things change a ton. We listen to people and we tweak things because he's saying back then I tried to create in a couple worksheets, but every ticket had both worksheets on them, expanded fully. So the new ticket page was about 4 pages long and unusable. Haven't used worksheets since. I don't blame you. So I just tested this. I created a totally new ticket and a different worksheet that I just did, and it was not expanded. So I think we changed the default because if I remember correctly, we were hearing a lot of people saying like, hey, that's too big right off the bat. So we did that. And so just speaking of that, because those are those feature requests that we hear often that are those like just quality of life type of things. Because the other thing that we did, and I'm not sure if you guys have seen this or noticed this, but the other huge feature request for something very similar to that is your assets and RMM screen. Like if you minimize this now, it'll stay minimized. The next time you log in, it'll stay minimized like that. You'd be surprised how many people requested that. So yeah. I'm assuming same thing happened with worksheets.
Real quickly, I just want to share, I know this isn't the same thing and it's not accessible from the assets page, but in asset activity audit report, you can also see installed apps and you'd be able to do CSV or PDF. So this still is doing, I can do it per device, I can do it per customer. You're still getting a report this way. you know, in further detail than the asset detail page too, but I just like to show that there's quite a few different things that are going to be on this list.
Another question here from Andy. He says, a Syncro to Office 365 calendar works well, but not the other way around. Existing items in Office 365 calendar do not show in Syncro, and adding new items to Office 365 sometimes appear in Syncro, but not reliable. Any thoughts? It should be definitely working very consistently for you guys. So what he's referring to, I'll just share real quick. This one's pretty straightforward. If you have a calendar built within Syncro, it will do a two-way sync with both Google Calendar and Office 365. So appointments created on either end should pop up very consistently and accurately for you guys. If it's built on the Syncro side, it'll have like an S in front of it, or if it's built on, I believe, from the Google Calendar, it'll have a G, means it was created on the Google Calendar and synced over this way. So if it's not working as you're expecting, or if you're noticing some inconsistencies, please do reach out to our tech support team. We want to make sure that's working as accurately as possible, because obviously your calendar is kind of what drives your workday and the efficiency of your tech. So please do let our tech support team know, and they'll take a closer look at it for you and help you troubleshoot from there.
Sweet. I'm going to grab these top two. Back to the estimates. So this makes a lot more sense. Right now, their flow is they have to get the calculator out, do the net price, add margin, add tax. But then the next line is, this is when adding items on the fly. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is probably how you're going to have to keep doing it. So I would suggest anything that you add to an estimate even more than a couple times might be worth just throwing that into your inventory so that you don't have to do that every time. Cool. I thought there was one other really quick one I was going to ask. Oh, John, really quickly before I hand it over. Congratulations, they just migrated from Repair Shopper and Ninja to Syncro. And so you had all of your assets in Repair Shopper, and then when you migrated, then you have managed assets. So I really would like to possibly talk to a technical support person, because I don't know how many endpoints you have. I know you can merge those assets for sure. I just don't know if there's like a way you can do that in mass. Do you guys know? I don't, maybe we can do that on the back end in mass. That's why I'm saying, like, you can merge them and have at it right now and do that. But if you have a lot of endpoints, maybe that's something we could reach out to tech support and see if we could do that on the back end for you.
Yeah, I'm not familiar. I know typically they would just come across as basically like stale assets, or you could delete those assets before. But yeah, tech support would probably be able to help. Half is Ninja, half is Syncro. So the ones that are showing, yeah, they came over as stale accounts basically, or stale assets. Yeah, I think support would be able to help on that. And Paul is asking, is it possible to have portal contacts created automatically when a contact is added to the company? No, not currently. You have the option to do it per customer, automatically send a portal invitation when a new customer is created, but it's not at the contact level yet. Really, we're all like, yes, because we think that would be a really good request. So we'll pass that along.
Yeah, I think they're working on some updates to how portal users are invited and things like that. So yeah, that's really exciting for us, because we do hear that one pretty often. Same question here from Richard. He says, can you export a list of contacts for a particular customer without using the API? Currently, you can import using that CSV that I showed you guys previously, but there's no export option currently, unfortunately. I'll definitely pass it along though.
That was like a flurry. Why can some clients pay from the portal and some cannot? I guess to answer your question, if they don't have a payment processor, well, obviously you must have a payment processor set up. So WorldPay. And you're saying from the portal, some folks have like the pay now button and some do not? Am I hearing that correct?
That's what I'm understanding.
Yeah, I also know that on your portal user permission group, so just really quickly, I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but it could be it could have something to do with their portal access, because you can have the option to where they can pay online from their portal. So if this button isn't selected, chances are likely that they are in a portal user permission group that does not give them that option, right?
Probably. And then also he's saying they all have the button, just does not work for them. So if I understand correctly, if they don't at the very top manage their credit cards and actually input credit card information first, I don't think that button will work. So maybe they haven't like done that manage payment options or whatever at the top, like they'd see that at the top right of their portal. Maybe they haven't done that. I think that might be what it is.
Awesome. Next question here is from Robert. He says, can you show some examples of non-Syncro device asset types for things that aren't devices, like Office 365 accounts or websites? So yes, let me share my screen here real quick. If we go over to the assets and RMM section, you can go ahead and click into actions and manage asset types. So within Syncro, if you guys didn't know, you can manage obviously the Syncro devices, but you can also include any unmanaged manual asset type. So literally, I have an example built in any fake asset. So anything that a printer, a camera, any firewall, anything that you are taking care of or keeping track of for your customer. If you need to keep serial numbers or whatever it might be in here, what's cool is you can build a new asset type and literally include anything that you want in here. And for each manual asset type, you can have its own set of custom fields. So for example, for this inkjet printer, I have selected in here, I want to make sure that I have the serial number and then special ink that I need to remember to purchase and keep in stock of for this specific customer. So that's just one example of things you can keep track of. And then if you can even use these manual asset types for your recurring invoices as well. So if you're charging, I don't know, 20 bucks or whatever to manage each printer, you could go to their recurring invoices as well and then just add that as a line item too. So you can go into any one of your recurring invoices for that customer, and then when you're adding the different line items in here, you can say asset and RMM counter, type in what you're actually billing them, and then under the asset type, just select that manual asset type. So hopefully that helps kind of make sure that you're not leaving any money on the table as well.
Awesome. Thanks. Peter says, currently evaluating third-party MSP password software. Let's say I lose a customer to another MSP and all their credentials are in Syncro. This isn't something that I expect would happen very often, but I also don't want it to take 20 hours of unpaid work. Is there a easy way to export all credentials for customer or custom fields, etc.? We do not have a way to export encrypted fields. Yep. You can export customers and all their custom fields, but if they're encrypted, they're not going to export. So I don't, just for security reasons, I don't think that's anything that we plan on changing, but I don't know that for sure.
I'll grab this one from Paul. He says, is it possible to have just ticket history viewable by just clicking the portal link without login? What he's referring to here, and this might be just something to test. I think if you don't have any specific portal users created on the customer level, I think anyone who clicks that portal link is just going to have access to it, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure. So within Syncro, this main point of contact is going to be the one that has the admin privileges and be able to see everything in here, open tickets, open invoices. If you want to restrict who has access or which contacts have access to this customer portal, you can create, if you go over to the admin section again, you can create customer portal permission groups. Right here under customers, portal user permission groups. So you would set these at first, select the level of access you want to give them within the customer portal, and then you would, as a second step, need to create those contacts as actual portal users. And I think the other way, I guess, around this would be if you don't create a, can you leave this blank? Let's test that. Update portal user. Yeah, you can't have this without a password at all. So that might be another way around it. Hopefully that helps.
Cool. Thank you. two just real quick, these are feature requests right now. Is there a way to customize or rearrange the layout of the customer overlay tab? Mostly we'd like to move the assets higher up. Robert, I would like that. We will forward the request. We've heard that often. Everyone has a different preference of how they'd want to view it, and just be able to kind of like drag and drop. That would be pretty sweet. So we'll pass it along.
Ben wants to know if I'll spill the beans on all the cool stuff that's coming. So I truly don't know if it's like a week, a day, a month, and that's the hard thing is I can't spill the beans today, but I can tell you Syncro has a PSA and an RMM side, right? There's some really cool stuff coming to the RMM side very soon. So I'll give you that.
Yes. True. That's very true.
I mean, the PSA side too, but the stuff I'm excited about is the RMM side.
Yeah, there's our devs are working. I thought we used to ship things really fast. I thought we used to. Like now things have gone to like this whole other level of amazingness. Yep, there's the teaser. Okay, I'm gonna read this one out loud. I haven't even looked at it yet. Is there a reoccurring invoice already? Okay, if there is a reoccurring invoice already created for a customer, and then the customer adds a payment profile, and I update the schedule template to automatically use the card on file, will that go back and pay the past due invoice, or will that previously created invoice need to be paid manually? I kind of think it's going to need to be paid manually. My thoughts are it's probably going forward. Is that right?
I would guess so, because it's not like if you have 10 previous invoices and then you just start creating a new recurring invoice, I don't think it's going to bill them for like $10,000 on all those previous invoices. I think it'll be just moving forward. That's just a +1 to your guesstimate, Crystal, though.
Yeah.
Question here from John. He says, when you select Syncro Live, can you choose what opens first, like the remote desktop instead of the task manager? Interesting. Not currently. I think it just takes you to just that first tab.
Yeah, the task manager by default currently.
Yep.
Robert says, can documentation be created or updated using automation? Interesting request. Not currently. Not currently.
These requests make me very happy, though.
Yeah.
Because I think that, like, automations are where it's at, and when you have the power of an RMM and PSA that have been built together from the ground up, the possibilities are endless. Like that type of functionality, like that isn't possible when the tech hasn't been built together. So I mean, like things like that where it's like, whoa, that's sweet, and then you're like, oh, that probably could happen. So we like hearing those types of requests for sure. Well, holy smokes, we got through a lot of questions, and now it's a blank Q&A with 2 minutes left. Good job, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you. Those are great. Thank you for sending those in. We love doing these open office hours with you guys, hanging out, getting to know you guys, getting a feel of what you're looking for, and always passing stuff along to our devs, especially positive feedback that you guys send. It's definitely a huge source of encouragement for them as well as our entire team. Like I said, we love building stuff that's going to make you guys more efficient, more profitable, make you more money, and because if you succeed, that makes us successful, and we get to continue doing what we love as well. So love doing that.
Absolutely. And also, like, we do record all of these. We post them either same day or next day or Monday or whatever. And so we kind of have a playlist going. So we really appreciate these. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for the hour. Enjoy your Friday. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. But thank you so much. Have a good one.
Enjoy, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.